Hello and welcome back to another episode of Getting Started with Dwarf Fortress, the tutorial series with me, the Butcher Mouse, specifically for new players. So as I mentioned in the last episode, we are going to be looking at Dwarf Therapist. We need to change our capture mode so you can actually see Dwarf Therapist. Here he goes. I've opened Dwarf Therapist for us here. And remember in the last episode when we talked about the dead pig and the miasma, we saw migrants have arrived. And right now we can only see the 7 dwarfs that we had, and that is because Dwarf Therapist does not refresh on its own. Only when you open it or manually refresh will it load the dwarfs. So how do I handle migrants? Well, I do this. First of all, I sort by migration wave, so I can see the new arrivals compared to the old one. And then I tell it to read. And see, we got a new list of 7 people here, and they say they arrived in the summer of the year 250. Well, the 7 other dwarfs arrived in the spring of the year 260. So this is actually a fairly quick arrival of new dwarfs. That doesn't mean it indicates anything. It could indicate that our civilization is big and prosperous, wanting to expand. But still, it could also mean absolutely nothing. So what we're looking for now when we get these are high numbers. Like, who are these people? What are they good at? Now you can see the people we have. We had someone who started out as miners, one who started out as a farmer, one who started out as a brewer, a hunter, mason. And our miners will level up pretty quickly because they do a lot of digging early game. You dig out tons of stuff. So they have work constantly and they level up quickly. So what we're looking for here are high numbers. 1 and 2, not so great. 3 and upwards, better. You see here, competent, skilled. These are master miners and a high master miner. And actually here we have something called a legendary metal crafter. This is almost as high as it can go. It can go to 20. So that's good for us, because one of our dwarfs then, who came in this migration wave, is a legendary metal crafter. So that means when we get the metal industry going, we have a good metal crafter. And we also have one line here that's red. That means that this is a kid. He cannot be given tasks. He cannot be assigned labors yet. Profession, child, you see. He is 3 years old. So usually what I do when I get migrants, regardless of their skill level, I just go ahead, shift select all of them, right click, say customize, and make them unassigned workers, which is basically the peasant of my fort. The way I play, I have, we'll look at the Dwarf Therapist again, go back into professions. I mentioned this previously when we started the game and I assigned people to various things, and there is a link in the video description, hopefully in this one as well if I can remember it, to my custom professions file, where you can download these custom professions and import them into your Dwarf Therapist by going file, import custom professions, and just referring to the file, which will give you this setup. But the way I work then is I micromanage this a little bit because it's really not that much work. I have specific people who do things, and there's usually 3 or 4 of them eventually at the end of a fort. There's normally maybe 3 miners at the end of it, maybe 4. Probably 2 brewers who are pretty good. Carpenters. Carpenters and masons. Well, not masons. I don't have a particular masons, but carpenters I have 3 of. Metalworkers I have 3 of. And many of the sort of tasks that do not specifically require skill, there's the unassigned workers. They are the main workforce of the fortress. They haul stuff around for us. You see here where we have one unassigned worker. Here you might notice that has fish or fishing set up. I believe we assigned that in a previous episode, or I did that in between episode, just to get someone to go out and start fishing. She can actually stop doing that now because we have someone who actually has skill in fishing. even though they're a novice. I'm going to right click here and say you're going to be a fish dwarf. Now the reason I do not allocate, oh, that's actually the metal crafter. Yeah, well, we'll work with it. It's okay, he can be that now. Now the reason I don't actually tell this person to be a metalsmith at this point is that he wouldn't have anything to do. He would not contribute to the fort in any particular way now, because there's nothing for a metal worker to do at this point. So that was a little bit about how then we manage new arrivals, how we see new arrivals, how we evaluate their skills. We can see how good they are at certain things in here using Dwarf Therapist. So next episode we are going to make a wood industry or carpentry industry, because we're going to need that to continue on with the brewing and food industry, because we need to get the base stuff set up. And one of the most basic things we need for any industry is stuff to store things in. And in this case, that means barrels and bins. So we're going to get into wood industry in the next episode. See you then.